Brick Road. I am Jordan, and today we are talking about Neuralink, kinda, and depression. I guess kinda. But before I get started, don't forget to share, support, or hopefully donate to Devon's Journey to Recovery, to helping victims of Africom, to Cohen Daly, the Australian boy. Also, about some content creators, Stevie, aka Red Economics, Sleepy J, Bioma Coffee, and, optionally, Ali Alexandra. All links in the description box. All right. So here we have a article from the University of California, San Francisco, and I guess they've been working on some stuff to treat depression. Let's read it. Let's read something. Treating severe depression with on-demand brain stimulation. UCSF team provides immediate and long-term relief for patients' symptoms. By Robin Marks. Treating severe depression with on-demand brain stimulation. Interesting. That would say a lot, wouldn't it? UCSF, can you see that? UCSF health physicians have successfully treated a patient with severe depression by tapping into the specific brain circuit involved in depressive brain patterns and resetting them using the equivalent of a pacemaker for the brain. Interesting. So it's like some sort of flare pops up of some sort of depressive thought, and you stimulate the brain so that for some reason anxiety or depression dissipates. Now, this would be like, well, you guys figured out consciousness itself, basically, this type of thing. But part of me is questioning certain aspects of the study. Mainly, what are we defining as depression? If we're defining it as chemical reactions, then all I have to do is get rid of a chemical reaction. Say, okay, we figured it out. If you're defining it as something else, as like a response to something metaphysical, like, right, the metaphysical thing happens, affects the brain creates the chemical or whatever, or the brain expression that causes the body to feel a certain way. Like, I would wonder, what does depression feel like physically? Do you feel it at all physically? Because if you go down into highlighted, not highlighted, freak you. Oh, wait. For Sarah, the past year has offered an opportunity for real progress after years of failed therapies. In the early months, the lessening of the depression was so abrupt, and I wasn't sure if it would last, he said. But it has lasted, and I've come to realize that the device really augments the therapy and self-care I've learned while being a patient here at UCSF. The combination has given her perspective on emotional triggers and irrational thoughts on which she used to obsess. Now, she said, those thoughts still come up, but it's just poof, cycle stops. So apparently her depression was one idea would pop up, and then she'd hyper focus on that idea, and then probably turn that into a whole whirlwind of, I guess, negative thoughts that would lead to the negative emotion, which is what leads to the depression. But apparently this thing doesn't stop the thoughts. It stops the continuation of the thoughts. Meaning some sort of like it's like I Heart Huckabees and Mark Wahlberg, where they start thinking deeper and then they just slap themselves in the face to wake themselves up into the immediate. I wonder if there's like some sort of physical sensation she feels, which is that would be the scary part, right? Because instead of possibly, I don't know her, I don't know her thoughts, I don't know what's going on internally with her, but possibly, if these are things that are kind of meant to be dealt with, like with your own mind, like we've been talking about this whole live stream, basically, of the will to deal with the thing that's underlying that actually is the thing making you really sad or triggering some type of sadness that you repressed it. Instead of dealing with that, you distract yourself with a shock to the brain. Just saying, possibly. I know I have my notion of the mind and all that shit. They have theirs. That's why I'm throwing it out as a possibility that, boom, some type of negative thought, right? And then we kind of condition the material brain to trigger this aspect of it, right? I don't look at it, me personally, I don't look at it as the brain does something and we chemically feel something about it after. I think consciousness does something, then it signals in the brain, and then it shivels out chemicals and shit like that. So if my way is the case, then the parts of the brain that start firing because of particular thoughts by the mind are now being shocked or whatever the fuck, triggered, massaged. I don't know exactly what it is. Maybe I'll go back up and read up on it. I read the whole article. I'm just terrible memory. Or whatever it does, shock, massage, whatever. It would kind of, in a way, distract from the thought process, almost like getting hit in the face with a fucking dodgeball. Right? Like if you're walking around, you're like, man, life's sad, and someone walks up and slaps you in the face, all of a sudden you are focused on the slap in the face. You're probably focused on it before you even get slapped. You're seeing someone run up to you, and you're like, huh? Your awareness peeks at it, and your awareness sees this, and then it fucking computes. Oh, this is a hitting me motion. Then it braces a bit, and then what? Pow! Slap in the face. And now you're thinking more of the mark on your, the pain, the sensation in your face, and like, okay, how bad does it hurt? How bad does it hurt? How bad does it hurt? Okay, it hurt pretty much. It's still hurting. Okay. Now it's like, okay, why did this person fucking do this? And damn, that whole story has now taken over your ego instead of the cycle of thoughts you went through. Now, here's the weird part about it is that she's still getting the thoughts. Those things, those thoughts that would, I guess, trigger emotional reactions. She's still getting those thoughts. Just they're being zapped or stimulated or whatever the fuck in the brain. Where it's like, hey, I mean, this is almost like what you call it? Was it the Milford experiment? It's almost like that inside your mind, or inside your brain at least. Right? Just you to you. You shocking you when you have these thoughts. And this is worrisome on many levels. One, for me, the thing I focus on is that if there is this sort of woo-woo notion to reality, to the world, to consciousness itself, and the mind itself, boy, this is a terrible way of dealing with it. Almost metaphorical to someone, running around from nightclub to nightclub to distract themselves because they don't want to go home alone. Or someone drinking and drinking and drinking because they want to get lost in that drunkenness. Easy way to fall asleep, or pills, or whatever the fuck. Right? Instead of up at night with nothing to stare at but your eyelids and just thoughts and thoughts and thoughts running by. Another thing, which is just on the surface level, right? That part is the difficult part, or is the on the social level, I guess, scary part, which is we deal with your thoughts through machines. Specifically target the brain with these machines. You basically change your patterns of behavior, right? Because now that thing is now conditioning her a certain way. Even if it gets rid of depressive thoughts, which it wouldn't, in my mind, it wouldn't actually do, right? It would just bury them further repress them with distractions. Just like a kid who goes through something traumatic, they repress it, and they're distracted by the day-to-day life. Meanwhile, they're still suffering from the trauma, the undealt with trauma. Oh, on the social level, very, especially the topics I hear people talk about today, it would definitely spook me. Yes, definitely spook. Right? Take this stuff, and yeah, all doors open now for all these brain devices, right? And then this is openly telling you we're shifting behavior by implanting a brain device. Right there, right out in the open, saying that. And I say, congratulations, you are now robots. People get worried about like machines taking over things. Like, what if you are turned into the machine? Which is why I cry so much about art or certain things being left out of the story. It's like, well, why do I need to build fucking T-31 robot? We're gonna have people behave like that. We have a lot more capability of being dynamic, as long as they don't cross the line. Think too critically, or as long as they don't, think too critically or behave outside the box. Damn, perfect robot. Guess what? They're self-creating robots. Not only do they perpetuate the idea in their own head, they perpetuate it with someone else, someone there trying to play a conditioning role for, like a child or a loved one or a friend or something like that. Where it's like self-multiplying robots. Sentient. Hey, that's the part I think about. I'm sorry. Sorry to say. Seems like that thinking is becoming more and more dominant. No more like what ifs. Imagine the idea of what if going away. Even if what if isn't there, just the rabbit hole process of going through that. What if that's like zip? Fuck. I had to get away from those. They call them irrational. Fuck. Highlight. My mouse sucks. Rational thoughts. And who's defining irrational? What do you mean by irrational? Is it irrational based to her, or based on what the doctors tell her? Is she being fully truthful when she's in these interviews and they're like, "Okay, what type of thoughts are you having that seem to be attached to your depression?" A lot of questions here, but as we can see, if you get rid of critical thinking, people will just accept this. Yeah, they get rid of depression. Before it was, you just take a pill. Pills didn't work. Well, you get a Neuralink thing and it zaps you when you're having naughty thoughts. Can't wait. All right, that's it for me. Please subscribe if you like. Comment, agree, disagree. Tell me what you think. Is this legit? Like, do you think we can attach something to your brain and get rid of whatever psychological ailment you claim to have, or even thoughts themselves? You tell me. Don't forget to share, support, or hopefully donate to Devon's Journey to Recovery, to helping victims of Africom, Cohen Daly, the Australian boy. Also help out some content creators, Stevie, aka Redneck Economics, Sleepy J, Buy My Coffee, 2 scoops, and optionally, Ali Alexandra. All links in the description box. And with all that said, give this video a thumbs down.